Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first ever episode of Should You Play News with me, Striker HD, and you know it, we're going to take a look at the main news story of the last week, and that is Facebook acquiring Oculus VR for $2 billion. And that happened on March the 25th. If you weren't already aware, I'm sure you've seen loads of people cover it already, but I'm going to give my own take on it. So basically, the format of this video will be, there'll be random gameplay in the background, either Hearthstone or Titanfall or something. I haven't decided yet, we'll see. So I'll just give you something to watch, or you can just listen in if you want to. So basically, we're going to start off with the intro. I'll go through basically the origins of the company and the product of the actual Oculus Rift. Just a basic overview in case you weren't aware what they were all about. Then I'll go into the good and bad and my own opinions on whether this purchase is good for... I'll take it as from the point of view as a gamer, as well as from the point of view as just a general media consumer. Because of course the Oculus Rift has a lot of potential and still does to be both a gaming peripheral and also for other mediums in media, such as movies, such as just viewing photos and say panorama shots, things like that. So we'll kick it off. Hopefully I'll put annotations in the video to skip between the intro and then the good and bad points. That should be about it. It shouldn't be too long. But without further ado, thank you for joining me and let's get on. So, Oculus VR is the company, effectively, that decided to make the Oculus Rift. And if you weren't aware, I'm sure you are, it's a virtual reality head-mounted display. You've all seen them in movies. There's ones released years and years ago, like the Virtual Boy, I think it was called, things like that, which were never very good. Always had a cool idea, though. And basically, it originally raised $91 million, of which only, I say only, take that how you will, only $2.4 million was actually from the Kickstarter campaign. So from the average Joe like you and me. If you're not aware of Kickstarter, just head over to their website. There's loads of crowdfunding things on there. And including that much that was paid towards the original development of the Oculus Rift. So again, that can lead into some controversy with some people about it being bought out by Facebook after they kind of invested in it themselves. They might feel a bit cheesed off. But again, we'll get into that later. So as I said, it's developed by the Oculus VR, that is the actual company, and the inventor is Palmer Luckey. That is his name, and he is a very passionate man about this project, which is one of the good points we will get onto later on. So look forward to that. And it currently works with Windows, Linux, Mac, or OS X, and Android. I'm not sure what is actually available on the other platforms besides Windows, because all the footage and games I've seen have been played and used on Windows. So you have to pardon me for not knowing too much about that. But I definitely know it works with Windows. And that brings me on to the games that it actually works with and the various media you can use it with if you bought a development kit. So far there has been one development kit, which was kind of like a very early prototype. It had a lower resolution screen. The technology wasn't the same as they aimed to put in the consumer version. And basically it was kind of a cut down version just to get out to people so they can make the software for it and they can experiment with it. And if you haven't seen, like, PewDiePie and other YouTubers got one, did some of the cool games on it, and it's always interesting to see what they think about it. Kind of hard to experience, of course, because you're watching it on a, just a flat screen with a normal viewpoint, so it's not the best thing just to watch. But if you want an insight into it, go and take a look at their videos. So basically, Doom 3 supports it. TF2, Team Fortress 2, they were early adopters of it. Steam actually had a hand in the Oculus Rift, and they did send employees over, I believe, to actually help integrate it into games like Team Fortress 2 and Left 4 Dead as well, and Half-Life 2 even. So that's another thing, because Steam don't really, I'm going to assume, want to have much to do with Facebook. Steam are very secretive about pretty much everything they do, and I think they'll probably steer away a bit more. So that'll be an interesting development, but again, it's all speculation. And there's also games like Skyrim, There's been mods and things. Most of it is just third-party mods at the moment because obviously the product isn't out. But Oculus themselves and other third-party developers have made loads of tech demos. Again, PewDiePie did some of them. I don't know why I'm promoting him so much, but there we go. I guess it can't do much harm. And there's loads of kind of like Race to the Sun, if you've ever played that. Those types of games, fast-paced, and they're like exciting kind of things where you can look around, try and dodge objects, that type of thing. But also the more involved games are pretty cool, like first-person shooters where your head is literally separate from the gun and your body, like in real life, of course. And yeah, so that's basically the intro. So it wouldn't take too long. It probably did take too long, but we'll get on to the good and bad points now. So I'm going to start off with the bad ones and probably flick between bad and good, given counter arguments between the two, because that's always the way I like to do it, whether it be history or whatever. So first point. Now, the first thing that sprang to my mind when I saw this news, which came as a surprise to me, it came as a surprise to almost everyone, as far as I can tell. People like Sessler, he's a well-renowned games journalist, if you want to call him that. And I think it came as a surprise to him as well. But I guess it really shouldn't, because Facebook tends to buy out everything and anything. However, they tend to go for the social things like WhatsApp and Instagram. They saw them as quote-unquote rivals. They saw them as like taking a bit of their marketplace. So they went, hey, I know what would be a good idea. Let's just buy them. And then they can't harm you. So they did that. And yeah, so that's what we're used to. And then suddenly they come out and go for this gaming focus, because that is what the Oculus Rift primarily was, a device. And to me, that kind of worries me in the way that they might change the primary focus from gaming to social media. Maybe they will still implement it in games. Whether those games are Farmville and Facebook apps, who knows? Maybe there'll be less AAAs, but I sincerely hope not. And they'd be silly to do that. But it could go to more like photo viewings, like I said about panoramas. They would look pretty cool when you can actually turn your head and view it all in like a 3D environment. Virtual reality environment, I should say, actually. As well as video calls. You could, of course, look around the room the person's in, things like that. You got the whole like potential with Google Glass, that type of thing as well as like dynamic pages. Maybe Facebook could have, so you're looking forward, you see your typical news feed, you look to the left, you see your chat, look to the right, you see your photos, things like that. No doubt they'll probably experiment with things like that. So they might possibly go for the more social route in terms of their focus, because let's not forget, Facebook is the king of social media. No matter how many people say they prefer Twitter, Facebook is still the king of social media. And they're trying their damn hardest to stay that way. They're sloping off, admittedly, because people are going to Twitter at a faster pace at the moment. But let's not get into a debate about that. So that worries me personally. And I can most definitely see them taking that approach and going the route of social media in general, rather than AAA gaming only types of things. And maybe that's the benefit with Microsoft rumored to be doing their own one, and Sony definitely doing their own Project Morpheus. Maybe that is going to be the saving grace. However, I am a PC gamer most of the time. I like console exclusives, but most of the time PC gamer. And the Oculus Rift was, again, primarily focused on the PC market. And whether Facebook will carry that through is yet to be seen. So, there we go. That's the first point. Sorry if this is awkward. I'm not sure how to do these properly at the moment. I've got my little notes to go by. I mean, the counter argument to that, of course, is $2 billion is a hell of a lot of money. And with that money, if Oculus themselves are given the freedom that they had before and prior to Facebook buying them, and then they get the influx of cash, then they could absolutely push this thing bring it to maybe all the consoles, all the devices, whether it be mobile, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, tablets, cinema, things like that. And with that money, maybe they can adapt it to all these different things, and maybe, just maybe, this could be the best thing that's happened to them. As I said, $2 billion is a lot. A lot of money. Don't forget they only raised, $91 million to start with. $2 billion they've just been bought out for. That's quite a good investment if you ask me. So, maybe that money goes to good things. We shall see. However, Facebook, it's a business. They like to make a profit. That's the whole point, supposedly. And who knows where it's going to go. Again, it's all speculation. These are just my personal opinions and counter-arguments to what people are saying and the general view on it. So, following on from that, they could also change the specs, possibly. Currently, the ambition of Oculus VR was always very high. They always set a high standard for themselves. They were going for full HD, they were going for all sorts of crazy motion sensing, very, very accurate and precise technology. It was like nothing we've ever seen before. Like I said, we've seen these things in the past, but they've all been very basic. They were going full throttle. It was going to cost a hell of a lot to make, and the device itself was aimed to be around $300 to the consumer. So again, that was quite a lot. Facebook, on the other hand, may change it to becoming less. Maybe they would go for a 720p screen to reduce the production cost. Maybe they realise that it's just not realistic. You can't make enough profit off of a $300 peripheral that not everyone's going to buy. Say the install base of an Xbox or a PlayStation, for argument's sake, is 10 million people, and only 1 million buy the Oculus Rift. If that costs them all of this $2 billion or near that amount, they're not going to make their money back. Nowhere near. So I do worry that they might change the specs in some way. They might be less ambitious and more ambitious in turn towards profits. But again, we just have to trust them. We don't really have many reasons not to trust them at the moment. Especially as, and this is something I will reiterate at the end of the video, they have not released an official statement saying, either from Oculus Rift and Oculus VR, themselves, or Facebook, saying what they plan to do and or change about the project. If Facebook came out and said, right, we're changing this, we're heading straight towards the social media, gaming can take a backseat, we don't want to worry about that, that's not our business at the moment, that's not what we're focused on, then I can understand gamers ranting and going crazy about it. At the moment, however, those bad points are pure speculation because of our trust issues with Facebook and the fact they are a profit-making business in the social media industry. And that's what they're based on. And that no one can say otherwise, because there has not been an official statement saying anything about them changing anything, them cutting back anything, etc., etc. So for now, that's it. Which kind of annoys me about videos like this in a way, because they're kind of preemptive, especially with all the ranting that's been going on. But that's the internet, and we kind of got to get over it, apparently. So the good points. Let's end off on a good note. What could happen, what might happen, that will benefit gamers and just people in general. So it is a huge investment of money, and it should most definitely help get the Oculus Rift out sooner, if not at a higher quality than originally planned. It was originally planned to come out late 2014 with the development kit second edition coming out, I believe, in April. Whether that's still on course, I'm not sure. I'd assume it would be. Whether there'll be another one after that, we don't know. But that with that investment of money, you'd hope they're going to try their hardest to get it out before Sony, before Microsoft, before anyone else brings out any kind of similar product, and take the market by storm in a blitzkrieg kind of, for lack of a better term, way. So that is a possibility. It may, this is a far reach. Now, I was thinking of points to put, and this is probably one of the we can grasp at it, but it ain't gonna happen. It's basically maybe they could reduce the cost to the consumer. When has that ever happened? Well, anyway, we should probably move on. No, but they could. It's a huge amount of money. They could reduce the specs and do it that way, reduce the cost of it, because again, if it was aimed at gamers will pay $300 to get that kind of peripheral. If it's aimed at the casual public who maybe just want to view a movie on it and some weird cool tech demos where they can walk through a forest and look around and see the birdies, then they're going to need a subpar version, at least half that price. So maybe they could do different versions of it. That would be the best idea, in my opinion, to get it out to different markets. And again, now Facebook own it, you kind of see them going for that and not just the high-end market. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. They may... Well, in fact, I can guarantee this, that they will expand the headset in terms of the audience. They will go for... I say will again. Take this how you will. Gaming, as well as other mediums, such as the film industry. I can't see them missing out on that. As well as even music. You could be in a gig while listening to high quality music and not actually being there, but have the atmosphere. You could also have, like I said, photo viewing, video viewing, as well as virtual reality drawings. You could have medical things. Maybe a lot of mental disorders could be helped via that. With people who can't walk, they could get the experience of walking again. I know it's not anywhere near the same, but there's all sorts of possibilities for the Oculus Rift. There always has been, but as a gamer myself, I've always been more focused on the gaming aspect. And as long as they still deliver on that, I'd love to see it go to every other media industry possible, expand on it, because unlike 3D, I feel like this could actually be a, for lack of a better term, revolution in the media industry and really kick it off again. Because at the moment, of course, we went to HD screens, we went to bigger screens, we went to OLED, things like that didn't really matter too much, as well as 3D, which they made a huge push on. Personally, I quite enjoy it at the cinema. It's still too expensive for the home, and in gaming wise, Nvidia have pretty much dropped it completely. They're going with their G-Sync monitors rather than, they don't even mention 3D anymore. The same with the PlayStation and Sony. They were full on going for it at the end of the PS3's life cycle with the last Killzone and various games, but it literally doubles the amount of processes and strain on the hardware, and it just isn't efficient. Maybe it will come back in a resurgence further down the line, but I feel like virtual reality, especially on PC at the moment because of the unlimited power, really can go somewhere and do something. So yeah, I do hope they actually expand it, and I'm sure they will. And this is what I kind of want to end off on, and it's basically, I mentioned the inventor Palmer Luckey earlier, and if you haven't ever seen him in interviews and actually talking about his invention, like, he is the man who came up with this and got it off the ground. He brought the people around a table and went, this is what we're going to do. Obviously had consultation and things like that, but he is the original inventor, and if you've never seen him in interviews, then please go and view him. There'll be loads on YouTube. We had GDC recently. I'm almost certain they had the development toolkit there and things like that. And he is one of the most passionate people on the planet for his invention and his product. And I cannot for the life of me see him letting it, no matter how influential Facebook and their many hierarchy, massive, whatever, like business corporation, mumbo jumbo people try, and how hard they try to get him to change. I cannot see him changing the Oculus Rift for the worse and letting that happen. There is no way that man, with his passion, unless he really likes money, which we don't know. He's a human being. I cannot see him letting them change it for the worse and letting them get rid of that gaming focus completely. Like I said, I'm sure they'll expand it to other mediums. I'm sure he himself would love it to. In fact, I know he would. But lest we trust in Palmer Luckey. That's all I'm going to say. And Facebook. Lest we trust in Facebook. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope that gave you a nice overview of the company itself and my own opinions on the good and bad implications this may or may not have for the gaming industry and the media industry as a whole. And I hope you leave a like and subscribe if you want more. Also, check out my Should You Play videos. They're not that great at the moment. I'm working on improving everything as I get more experience and go along. So thank you very much. I love you all. And see you later.
I can see.